For more, let's bring in former U.S. Attorney and Right on Crime Executive Director Brett Tolman. Brett, welcome. This is a fascinating and troubling case. Okay, you've got judges who are supposed to be impartial, and they are acting absolutely like activists in these cases. What do you make of it?
Well, judges are supposed to be impartial, but people often forget that in their world, they're God. They rarely have anyone telling them what to do. They get to set all the rules. So it's not surprising to me that they might think that the law really doesn't apply to them because they haven't really had to deal with the accountability in their career as long as they've been a judge.
But Brett, so here's what a socialist Senator Bernie Sanders had to say in a statement on this Wisconsin judge's arrest. Old Bernie said, quote, "Let's be clear, Trump's arrest of Judge Duggan in Milwaukee has nothing to do with immigration. This latest attack is about one thing, unchecked power. It is time for my colleagues in the Republican Party to stand up to his growing authoritarianism. The only unchecked power was that of the judge. And the fact that this woman, based on the complaint, which I read every word of, decided to take the law into her own hands and coddle a criminal. A criminal not because he was convicted of domestic violence, but a criminal because he was in this country illegally for at least a second time because he was previously deported. Right. And she did it in front of victims, the two victims of domestic violence. They coddle the criminal and then treat the victims in their face like detritus."
Well, there's one, the conservatives want the rule of law, and they want to live under the rule of law consistently applied to everyone. The left, they are willing to bend the law. They're willing to break the law because they believe that the ends are justified by whatever they choose to do. It's outrageous. This is not, as Bernie Sanders says, an authoritarianism. This is a return to the rule of law, and it applies to judges and it applies to others. There's a supremacy clause, and Dagan, you know about this. The federal criminal law has supremacy over state law where it's applicable, and they can't do anything to change that. It's the way that we've operated under the Constitution for 250 years. And they want to change it all of a sudden because it fits their narrative and they think that they're gaining popularity among their base. Well, how disgusting and sick is it that they're willing to bend and break the law and destroy the rule of law in order to gain power? It's the opposite of authoritarianism, right, what's going on in the conservative movement.
Yeah, and using the back door of the jury room to do it, apparently. I got to move on to this, Brett. The man accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was back in court today, where he pleaded not guilty to all federal charges against him. Supporters of Luigi Mangione showed up outside the courthouse, including notorious WikiLeaker Chelsea Manning.
If there's one takeaway from today, it is that this case is being speedrun. This case is being speedrun in an unprecedented manner where you have multiple cases running simultaneously. And one of them is a death penalty case. So you have a capital case that's being speedrun, which we don't do that. We don't do that here. We don't do that in America. We don't do that with our justice system. We don't speedrun justice. That's it.
What is that person talking about?
We don't speed run justice.
That's just garbage.
Perhaps they don't know that. Yeah, perhaps Chelsea Manning doesn't recognize that it's actually the people that voted an act called the Speedy Trial Act that said you have to be adjudicated within 70 days. So we do want these things to happen quickly because we don't want it hanging over people's head, and that's the state of the actual law.
So
that's why I was laughing.
Yeah, well, it sounded like he was talking about the NFL draft. You know, a speed run goes high in the first round. They're seeking the death penalty here. What's your thought on that?
You know, it's on the books for a reason, and this is a case that, you know, in all seriousness, it's tragic to watch the left and those that want to protect an individual who has murdered a father of a family. You can disagree with politics. You can disagree with business decisions. There's an ethical way of going about making change. But to kill somebody and then to have no remorse and then to gain popularity at it is a sad state of where we're at as a country.
Before we go, so Tampon Tim's Tesla vandal, I'm talking about the fiscal policy analyst who worked for the governor of Minnesota, who was nabbed vandalizing, it was about half a dozen Teslas. A Minnesota prosecutor in Hennepin County has declined to bring felony charges against this jerk, saying that it doesn't qualify, the person qualifies for a pre-charge diversion, $21,000 in damage. Again, they think these people are righteous and not criminals. What would you have done, Brett? I would have taken them to court.
Well, Dagan, there's only one thing that's proven to be deterrence, and that is the predictability of getting caught and punished. If you take that away, and you have no predictability of being caught or punished, then you're going to encourage others. And that's what we see in many Democrat-led towns. And it's tragic to see it in this instance, because what's happening across the country is no less than, a concerted conspiracy to take down Teslas and to make a political statement through crime.
Yeah, these guys do it because of the predictability of getting off scot-free, and that's been the problem for far too long. Brett, we got to leave it there. Good to see you, sir. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
All right.